Hey everybody, it's Vicki and I'm here for another sculpture project. What I have done is taken, this is active wire mesh. Get it at Hobby Lobby. And this stuff is really cool because you can stretch it. So you can stretch it to conform to some of the shapes that you might want to do. Okay. I cut the entire length, so that would be 24 inches, and I cut a third of it. So that would be 12, it comes 12 by 24, and so I cut 4 by 24. And then I've turned in, I don't know, you gonna make me measure? Okay, 1.5 inches. And I'm going to turn in 1.5 inches on the other side. Okay. You see that? And I'm going to fold those little flaps down. And these are going to overlap. That will be my base. And it's going to go on this. And I need a round ball that will be a head. And I don't know if I can stretch it this way. No, you can't stretch it that way. I'm thinking. I want it to go at an angle. So I'm going to come in 1 inch. An inch on each side, which would be kind of proportional. So 1 inch. I'm going to angle right up toward that fold at the top. Point my scissors up there and cut. See? Turn it over. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Start in about 1 inch. Angle toward where your end point is. Clip. Now, that's a better shape. This is going to be done in stages, but it's going to sit right here. I'm probably going to have to stiffen it with some wire. Good shape. And I'll be right back. You know, the funny thing is, you start out with an idea and then go to your stash and you see something that you probably wouldn't have thought about in 100 years. I have a crystal from France that came from a chandelier, and it's going to make a perfect head. Cool beans. I love it. I love it. Okay. I have pre-planned this project, and I'm going to use bronze PaverPol. Have a piece of styrofoam that I pre-cut. I have a piece of wire. This is sculptor's wire, and this is my female form. And the head to this is going to be this crystal. I also have a support wire to go in the middle, and this, I'm going to cover the base first. So I'm going to I shook this really good, and now we're going to see how much stirring it needs. And I have my, let's see, I have something somewhere. Here's shaking it stirred it pretty good. It's all the same color. Put that in the water. Pour that there. Clean off really good. Put the lid back on. And don't forget to seal it down. I'm going to put my fabric in this little cup and make sure it's soaked all the way. There are many different ways to do this. I don't wear gloves. I'm not worried about killing myself. And this comes off my fingers easier than matte medium. Put that aside. Now I'm going to drape this over the top of my styrofoam block. And I'm going to stretch it. One end of this is bigger than the other because I tore mine, but the store cut theirs, so the piece wasn't totally square. So I'm using this first. And pull it up. Stretch it as tight as I can. I'm going to dip my finger in that and make it. Now that takes care of the top and the sides. I can smooth it later. I'm going to do this like wrapping a package. I'm going to fold the corner in. No, what am I going to do? I'm just going to fold that down because I want more of a square. There. That's what I want to do, is bring that straight down. Well, as you can see, I am having some challenges getting my fabric folded just right. It would have been easier if I'd had a wider piece of fabric, but hindsight's always 20/20, right? So as an artist, you learn to deal with those things and figure out a way to make it work. The PaverPol is very easy to handle, messy, but easy to handle until it starts setting up in about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then it starts getting sticky. And there is no way to keep your hands clean. Gloves irritate the poop out of me. I took a risk and used my good Tim Holtz craft scissors. If you do this, be sure you drop them in water immediately. I think the damage from the water is less than having the PaverPol dry on your scissors. I'm going back over the base now and fully saturating the fabric and tucking in the corners where I can. I had envisioned a totally smooth wrap, But that's just me, and I was trying to make the PaverPol do something. Of course, that's me, trying to make it do something it didn't really want to do or wasn't designed to do. So just using plenty of the PaverPol. And as this sets up, the fabric will attach itself to the base, and it will not ever come off. If you decide later that you need a little weight on the styrofoam, you can always glue a coaster, like a drink coaster or a piece of metal, something like that, and you can use the PaverPol for the attaching glue as well. Alright, right here I have some florist wire that I wrapped with masking tape. Florist wire is easier to use than masking tape. I didn't look to see if I had any. The reason is because it stretches when you pull it. So I want this piece right in the middle, and I want it centered. This is my piece that I was going to fold under, which will work. And this scrap from the other piece is long enough to use. So here we go again. I may not have enough stuff in the bucket. Let's do this way. There are lots of different ways to do this. And after you work with it a little bit, you'll find the best way for you. And I think I'm going to put this on the front because it's all in one piece, and I may get enough of a wrap over to the back. You want the entire piece saturated. Alrighty, let the games begin. The fabric is saturated, and it's all over me and all over my mat. My brain is still trying to figure out how I'm going to accomplish this. I think it would have been easier if I'd have put the wet fabric down first and laid the wire over it, but I didn't. So now I pick it up and flip it over. I could have saved that step. Now I'm trying to I am wrapping the fabric around, trying to keep it smooth. Now I'm going to wrap the wire in the middle and cover it with the areas that the fabric is not big enough. I'm going to use the scraps from wrapping the block, and they've been laying there wet for a few minutes, so they're pretty sticky by now. Using more of the PaverPol, wrapping that wire. It's like playing with mud pies when I was a kid. Got it all over me then too. Had I attached that wire to the mesh first, it would have stayed in place. I could have tried using masking tape, or I could have put PaverPol on it first and let it set up. But again, that's the way we roll in the art world. If I did this again, my method would streamline and I would have a little more control over the results. But I'm flying by the seat of my pants right here. I'm taking the edge and just folding it over because I know that that will add some strength to the form once I fold it. Again, hindsight's 2020. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Those are words I try not to use. Another option, there, how's that for positive, would have been to have left it laying on my mat until the fabric was more set, about 30 minutes. And then I could have bent it a little easier. The wire here, I fold in my 1-inch pieces. I wish I had run the wire through the fold so that it was on the outside of the form. That way I could have stuck it down into the styrofoam base for more support. Minor engineering choice there. Right now I'm peeling the dried PaverPol off my hands, and it's a perfect bronze skin. Alright, this has been setting up for about 15 minutes. You can tell that it's still really weak and wobbly. Because my wires ended up on the inside of the structure, I used some leftover pieces that were already soaked. I used those to put across the base and make it look like draped skirt or something. I'm poking holes here for the crystal that has had a thin piece of copper wire wrapped through it and into the form, and I'm diddling right now trying to get the copper back up. You can see here where my fabric is drooped because it didn't have anything to set to yet. The head is real floppy, and one of the pieces of wire is back up on top, and I just wrap it around the base of the crystal. I also got PaverPol on the crystal, which isn't very good. Had I taken a little more care, I probably would have wrapped the crystal with tape or something like that. It's about this point that I wonder if I'm going to have to hold that crystal upright for an hour until it sets good. So I try to dry it a little bit. And then I'm working on the shape a little. There it goes, falling over. Putting another coat of PaverPol on the outside. Mainly because I had it in the cup, but painting some more on the inside. Finally decided to give up on the head because it's not going to stay straight up until the thing is anchored, until it's dried. You have quite a bit of working time with the form. See, it's beginning to set up now because it's not flopping over nearly like it did. I use a plastic tool dipped in water because as this stuff sets up, as this wonderful product sets up, it becomes tacky and sticky, and if your hands stick to it, then when you pull your hands apart, you pull the fabric with you. So here I'm adding some ripples into the wire mesh to give it a little more personality. Drawing it underneath to get that fabric to not droop. I gave up on it being smooth, and so messy on the inside was going to be fine because the more of those wrinkles I had, the stronger the structure would be. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Building a few shoulder areas, and my wire has moved on the inside, of course, so it's giving me a lump in her shoulder where I don't really want it. Push and pull. She looks like a humpback here. I'm sorry, that was racially incorrect. I'm sorry. She looks like she has a backbone challenge here. How's that? Wet wipe, because I just realized I had messed up the crystal. I have a box with about 50 more of them, so, but you know, I want this to look good first time out. This head may not work, but I can always cut it off and try it again after everything gets dry. I'm using plastic tools, dipping them in water to try to make the fabric behave underneath. It's all wrinkledy, which I don't care. I just want it, I don't want it drooping anywhere. I continue to dry and mold, move, poke, pinch, and as the PaverPol sets up, and you can tell that it's beginning to do that. That's why I wanted to go ahead and show you this process, even though I could have left it out. I wanted you to see the process of letting it dry and then continuing to move and mold. I eventually stand it up next to a shelf I've got there to hold it upright while it finishes to dry. Look at all this goodie. I don't know if I'm going to use it on this one or not. I've got her propped up here to dry. Look. How cool is that? That's just off my mat. Okay, I'm going to stop this.